Today's story is about a guy who spent 4 years building a life with someone. He helped her from day one, the YouTube channel, the photography sessions, the whole thing. He put down 85 grand toward a house. He proposed. He was ready to do the whole married life thing. And then he found out, completely by accident, standing in a parking lot with his engine still running, that the entire relationship was a long con for real estate and Instagram followers. She had a plan, a timeline, and a target. What she didn't have was a closed window. Pull up a chair. This one's worth every second. My fiancé planned to marry me, take the house, and divorce me. 6 months later for Instagram clout, so I set up the family dinner and beat her to the public breakup. I work as a fleet operations manager for a regional freight company. My job is basically making sure trucks move from point A to point B without drivers deciding to take unscheduled detours through 4 extra states. Not the most exciting thing to explain at dinner parties, but I pull in around 97 grand a year. Solid money for solid work. My fiancée, Brooke, 29, worked as a community coordinator at some overpriced juice bar chain that charged $18 for blended kale and called it a wellness experience. She pulled in around 52 grand a year and spent it like she was operating on a 200,000 budget with a second income nobody told her about. Her entire personality had become her Instagram account, where she sat at about 4,200 followers and carried herself like she was managing a media empire. Daily outfit posts with captions like "Casual Tuesday vibes," after clearly spending 2 hours in front of the mirror. Food photos with paragraphs about manifesting abundance. Selfies with inspirational quotes she'd definitely stolen from someone else. The full influencer starter pack, complete with delusion. She'd compare herself to actual models like it was just a factual statement. Bella Hadid and I have the same bone structure. No, Brooke, you don't. I could totally do runway if I wanted to pivot my brand. Sure, Jan. My engagement rate is actually better than some celebrities. Yeah, because your aunt and a rotating cast of bot accounts are exceptionally loyal followers. We met 4 years ago at a coffee shop downtown. I was working on my laptop during lunch when she walked up and asked if the seat across from me was taken. The place was packed. I said no. She sat down, smiled, and within 5 minutes we were talking about everything. She had this energy that made a slow Tuesday feel like something was actually happening. And when she told me about her content creator dreams, I didn't roll my eyes. I helped. I helped her set up her YouTube channel, taught her basic video editing, gave feedback on her captions, bought better lighting for her apartment because she said the overhead light was washing out her aesthetic. I supported the whole influencer thing because I figured, if it makes her happy, what's the harm? Year 1 was genuinely good. We clicked. She met my family, I met hers. Year 2 was when the Instagram hobby became a full-blown lifestyle. She started calling herself a content creator everywhere, pitched brands for sponsorships and got rejected by every single one, but kept going like the next email was going to be the one. Her YouTube channel averaged maybe 40 views per video, and I'm pretty sure at least half of those were her re-watching her own edits, looking for improvements. Year 3, I made excuses. Told myself everyone has their thing. Some people collect vintage sneakers. Some people take 60 photos of their coffee before they drink it. I kept being her personal photographer on demand. Kept retaking couple photos 15 times until her jawline was angled exactly right. Kept pretending I didn't notice how much of our time together was really just her content calendar. I should have paid more attention to what I was actually ignoring, but I didn't. Classic. Year 4, I proposed. Not because I was wildly in love the way I'd been in year 1, if I'm being honest. More because it felt like the next logical step. We'd been together long enough. Our families knew each other. We got along most of the time. Why not? I took her to the restaurant where we'd had our first real date. Got down on one knee during dessert. She cried, said yes, then immediately asked me to retake the ring photo because her nail polish was chipped in the first shot. She posted about the engagement for a solid week straight. Different angles of the ring. Close-ups with fresh flowers she went out and bought specifically for the photos. Her hand on my chest, so you got both the ring and my face in the frame. Captions about finding her soulmate and manifesting true love into existence. Her follower count jumped to 4,600. She was beyond thrilled. Okay, pause. For the listeners, this is me, not the OP. I need you to appreciate what we're dealing with here. This woman has 4,200 followers and the confidence of someone with a Netflix deal and a publicist. She's comparing herself to supermodels while her YouTube channel sits at 40 views, half of which are her own rewatches. This is what happens when the algorithm gives you 12 likes on a Tuesday and your brain says Vogue cover. She's living in the Truman Show, except she built the set herself and forgot to tell the cast. Anyway, the house is coming, and so is the plan. Neither ends the way she expects. Then came the house conversation. We were both throwing money away on rent, me in a decent one-bedroom in Forest Hills, her in a studio with a roommate she complained about like it was a full-time job. Combining our incomes meant we could actually own something real. Build equity. Stop handing money to a landlord. Do the adult thing. I'd been saving for 6 years at that point. Had about $85,000 set aside. Brooke had maybe 12 grand. We looked at places in Queens and found a 3-bedroom ranch in Bayside that needed some cosmetic work but had solid bones. Listed at $470,000. The plan was simple. Pool everything. Both names on the deed, split it equally. Even though I was covering most of the down payment, we were getting married anyway. What's mine is yours, right? We made an offer. They accepted. Closing was set for 2 months out. Brooke completely lost her mind with excitement. Posted about it constantly. First-time homeowner with exterior shots of the house. Building my empire with photos of paint swatches fanned out on a table. Manifestation works with screenshots of her Pinterest boards. Follower count hit 5,100. She started hashtagging everything homeowner life before we'd signed a single document. 3 weeks before the bank meeting to finalize everything. That's when I found out what her actual plans were. And they had an expiration date. My expiration date, specifically. It was a Tuesday in mid-October. I'd taken a half day to get our financial documents organized for the upcoming bank meeting. Boring adult responsibility stuff. Brooke had texted me around noon saying she was having some friends over at my apartment, that they'd be gone by 6. No problem. She had a key. I wrapped up my paperwork around 3 and headed home early. Figured I'd catch a nap, order food, decompress. I pulled into my parking spot and grabbed my phone to text Brooke I was back. That's when I heard voices coming through my open window. My apartment faced the lot. The window was cracked open. The voices were clear. I'm telling you, once that house is in my name, I am done with him. I froze. Hand on the door handle. Engine still running. Brooke's voice. Then a second voice. Her college friend Kayla. You're really doing it. 4 years of pretending I care about freight routes. 4 years of sitting through family dinners listening to trucking stories. Do you know how many times I've wanted to disappear? I want credit just for making it this far. Laughter. Multiple voices. I turned off the engine and sat there. But his name is going on the deed too, right? Yeah, but my dad knows a lawyer. There are ways around that after the wedding, especially if I can document that he's never home or that I contributed more financially. His friend said I just need to file for divorce 6 months after the ceremony and take the house in the settlement. Clean and simple. My hands went numb on the steering wheel. That's ruthless, Kayla said, but she was laughing. It's strategic. He makes decent money, but he's maxed out. Fleet operations, that's his ceiling. He has zero ambition. Meanwhile, I'm building my brand. My following is growing. Once I'm a divorced homeowner posting about my glow-up, that content goes viral. Single woman, late 20s, thriving after leaving dead weight? That's at least 10,000 followers. Maybe 15,000 if I play it right. More laughter. A third voice, Nicole, another friend from her circle. When are you planning to leave him? 6 months after the wedding. Long enough it doesn't look suspicious. Short enough I'm still in my 20s when I'm back on the market. And here's the best part. I'm going to do it publicly. Some dinner or party with both families there? Just announce it in front of everyone and watch him fall apart. He's going to cry. You know how he gets. Oh my God, that's evil. The content practically writes itself. I sat in that parking lot for another minute, just staring at the windshield. Then I started the truck back up, pulled out, drove to a coffee shop 3 blocks away, and sat there for 2 hours with a black coffee going cold in front of me. 4 years. 4 years of building a life with this woman, supporting her, photographing her, proposing to her. And the entire thing, every single piece of it, had been a long con. Real estate fraud with an Instagram angle. Here's the thing though, I wasn't panicking, because Brooke had made one genuinely critical mistake. She told her friends about the plan before she had the house, which meant I knew everything. which meant I could move first. I pulled out my phone and texted her. "Running late. Won't be back until 6. Have fun with your friends." She responded immediately. "Okay, babe. Love you. Just having girl talk." Girl talk. Right. Hold on. For anyone listening, this is me, not the OP. This is not a man having a breakdown. This is a man running diagnostics on his own life from the driver's seat, like he's the IT department for a problem he didn't create. Most guys go upstairs and blow up immediately. This man drove to a coffee shop, let it settle, and built a counter strategy before his coffee was cold. She ran a 4-year con. He dismantled it in under 2 hours. Ocean's 11, except it's one guy, no masks, and she handed him the blueprints through an open window. That's not revenge. That's just paying attention. When I got home, the friends were gone. Brooke was in the kitchen humming to herself, scrolling through paint colors on her phone like she was already mentally decorating a house that was going to be hers alone. She kissed me on the cheek when I walked in. "How was your day?" "Fine. Boring paperwork." "I'm so excited for the bank meeting. We're so close to being homeowners." Homeowners plural, like she meant it. I told her I'd been thinking, maybe we should hold off on the house. Just a few months. Make sure we were really ready. Her face changed. "What? Why?" "It's a big commitment. I just want to be careful. We already made an offer. They accepted. We can't just back out. We haven't signed anything final. We'd lose the earnest money, around $5,000, but that's better than rushing into something we're not both certain about." Her eyes narrowed. "Where is this coming from?" "Cold feet about the timing. Maybe we wait until after the wedding. Make sure everything's solid." She crossed her arms, stared at me for a long moment. Then she dropped it. We ate dinner in near silence. She left around 9 to go back to her place. The next morning, I called the real estate agent and backed out of the offer. Then I called my mom. "Can you put together a family dinner for Friday night? Both families. Somewhere nice. Brooke's parents, too." She asked what the occasion was. I told her I'd explain Friday. "Just make sure everyone's there." She said, "Is everything okay?" "It will be." I texted Brooke. "My mom wants to do a proper engagement dinner. Both families celebrate everything. That steakhouse in Manhattan your mom likes? Friday at 7? She texted back within 60 seconds. "Yes! That's so sweet. I'll wear my new dress." I'm sure she would. Wait. For the listeners, this is me. I want to be crystal clear about what just happened. She is sitting in his kitchen talking about paint colors while he has already backed out of the house, called his mom, and booked the restaurant. She thinks she's playing the long game. He flipped the board. This is the exact difference between acting from anger and acting from strategy. Anger would have been an immediate blow-up fight that went nowhere. Strategy is a steakhouse reservation at the place her mom likes, with both families there on a Friday. She drove to that dinner thinking she was going to a celebration. She was going to a deposition. Friday. I got to the restaurant at 6:45. Upscale steakhouse in Midtown, white tablecloths, mood lighting, $100 entrees. The kind of place where people go when something actually matters. My family arrived first. My mom, my dad, my brothers Rowan and Levi with their wives. They took one side of the long table we'd reserved. Brooke's parents arrived at 6:55, her mom Diane in a nice dress, her dad Frank in a suit, looking like he'd come straight from a late meeting. Brooke walked in at exactly 7. Black dress, heels, full makeup, hair curled perfect. She'd obviously planned this outfit for maximum Instagram potential. I could see her already calculating the captions. She made the rounds the way she always did at family events. Hugged my mom, kissed my dad on the cheek, complimented my sisters-in-law on their outfits, chatted warmly with her parents, played the perfect future daughter-in-law with a skill I could now recognize for exactly what it was. Then she sat down next to me, put her hand on my leg under the table, and smiled at everyone like this was the happiest night of her life. I waited until everyone had food in front of them, took a sip of water, set down my fork. So, I wanted both families here tonight because I have an announcement. The table went quiet. Everyone looked at me. Brooke's face lit up like a switchboard. She probably thought I was about to announce a wedding date. More content, another week of ring photos and soulmate captions. Brooke and I are done. The engagement is off. I'm ending this right now. You could have heard a pin drop in that entire restaurant. Brooke's smile froze. Then it melted. What? We're over. I'm ending this. The engagement. The relationship. All of it. Her face went through about 15 different expressions in the span of 3 seconds. Confusion. Shock. The dawning horror of realizing this was real. Then, the specific kind of embarrassment that only hits when it happens in front of a table full of people. Is this a joke? Not a joke. Earlier this week, I came home early and heard you talking with your friends in my apartment. You were planning to use me to get the house, then file for divorce 6 months after the wedding and take everything in the settlement. You said I was maxed out. Said sitting through dinner with my family made you want to disappear. Said once the house was yours, you were done with me. Your exact words were that I was dead weight and the content practically writes itself. I looked at her. You said you wanted to watch me fall apart in public. You said you'd plan to do it in front of both families. You wanted to see me cry. I set my napkin down. Well, congratulations. You get the public breakup, just not the version you wrote. The color drained from her face in real time. My mom's expression stayed controlled, but I could see the anger sitting just behind her eyes. My dad's jaw was set hard. My brothers were looking at Brooke like she was something they'd found on the bottom of a shoe. Brooke's mom, Diane, stood up, hand over her mouth. Frank's face had gone an alarming shade of red. He stared down at his plate and couldn't look at anyone. I wasn't... Brooke started, stopped. Her voice cracked. You were spying on me. My window was open. You were in my parking lot planning real estate fraud. Not exactly a secure location for sensitive planning sessions. Those were just things I was saying. I was venting. That's not what you told Kayla and Nicole. That you were maxed out career-wise. That family dinners with my family made you want to disappear. That 6 months after the wedding you'd be filing for divorce and documenting neglect for the lawyers. Those were your specific words. I pushed my chair back slightly. We're done. The engagement is over. I already backed out of the house 2 days ago. And you should probably leave. You're humiliating me, she whispered. Loud enough that the whole table heard. You were planning to do far worse in this exact kind of setting, for camera content. I'm just saving myself 6 months. Rowan crossed his arms. Levi shook his head and said nothing. My mom's voice came out ice cold. I think you should go, Brooke. Diane grabbed her purse, hands shaking. Frank stood up slowly. He looked at me once. His face was pure, heavy shame. Then he looked at his daughter with a disappointment so thick it sat in the air. Let's go. They left. Diane had her arm around Brooke's shoulders. Brooke was crying, mascara running, stumbling slightly in her heels. Frank walked 3 steps behind them both, shoulders hunched, head down. The restaurant door closed. The table sat in silence for a moment. My dad cleared his throat. Well, that was something. My mom picked her fork back up. All right then. Rowan leaned back in his chair and looked at me. You could have just broken up with her privately, man. She was planning to do exactly this to me, in front of both families, for Instagram content. I just moved the timeline up. Levi let out a slow breath. That's cold. My mom squeezed my hand once. You did the right thing. That girl would have taken everything from you. We finished dinner. The food was actually very good. Shame to let it go to waste. Okay, stop. For anyone listening, this is me. She wanted a public breakdown. She wanted to watch him fall apart in front of his parents and turn it into a glow-up arc. She planned that exact scene, and instead, she's the one stumbling in heels with mascara down her face while her dad can't look anyone in the eye. She got the script she wrote, just with the roles reversed. The villain got the villain's ending, and she still posted about it afterward. The person you trusted most destroying your life for no reason. Girl, you had a 6-month exit strategy drawn up in a parking lot. That's not trauma. That's a project plan. I went home that night, grabbed the 3 boxes of Brooke's stuff I'd packed on Wednesday, carried them downstairs, and left them on the curb outside my building. Then I went back upstairs, locked my door, and went to bed. Saturday morning, 43 missed calls. 17 from Brooke, 12 from her mom, 8 from unknown numbers that were probably Kayla and Nicole, 6 from Frank. I ignored all of them, made coffee, and scrolled through 31 texts from Brooke that ranged from confused to desperate to furious to bargaining. Please call me. We need to talk. You're making a huge mistake. How could you do this? Call me now. I love you. I blocked her number. Then I checked Instagram. She'd already posted a crying selfie from what looked like her childhood bedroom. Caption about the person you trusted most destroying your entire life for no reason. Stay strong, Queens. Comments were flooded. His loss. You're too good for him. Glow up incoming. He'll regret this. I blocked her on every platform and moved on. Around noon, my buzzer went off. I checked the camera expecting Brooke. It was Brooke. Sweatpants, hoodie, eyes puffy, holding a coffee cup like it was life support. Kayla was with her. Arms crossed, jaw set, already in confrontation mode. I pressed the intercom. What do you want? Brooke's voice came through shaky. I need to get my stuff. I know you put my boxes outside. People took them. Should have grabbed them when you had the chance. Kayla leaned toward the speaker. Stop being childish and let her get her belongings. She had that opportunity when I put them on the curb. Not my fault if someone took free stuff. Long story short, I buzzed them up, gave them 5 minutes, stood in the doorway the whole time. Brooke went straight to the closet for whatever was left. A few clothes, a pair of shoes, a makeup bag. Kayla stood in my living room looking around like she was doing a property assessment. You're going to be alone forever because of this, Kayla offered at one point. You encouraged your friend to commit fraud and it blew up on both of you. That's what's actually happening right now. Brooke came back with a garbage bag, eyes red. I'm sorry, she said quietly. I really am, for everything. I know I messed up. You're sorry you got caught. That's different from being sorry for what you did. They left. Around 6 that evening, I headed downstairs to grab something from my truck. The 2019 Dodge Ram, black, lifted, kept in good condition. The thing I drove to work every day and kept cleaner than my apartment. The driver's side panel was destroyed. Deep scratches running the entire length of the door. Not random. Deliberate. A word carved into the paint in foot-high letters, metal exposed underneath. The kind of damage that doesn't buff out. I stood there for a moment. Felt something cold settle in my chest. Then I pulled out my phone and opened the parking lot security app. The building had cameras covering the whole lot. I rewound to 5 p.m., Brooke's silver Honda pulling in, parking 3 spots away from my truck. Brooke getting out, looking around nervous. Kayla getting out of the passenger side. They stood there talking, Kayla pointing at the truck, gesturing, Brooke shaking her head. Then Kayla grabbed Brooke's shoulder, said something, and Brooke nodded. Then Brooke pulled out her car key and went to work. I watched her carve each letter, slow, deliberate, making sure every scratch was deep enough that it couldn't just be buffed out. Kayla stood guard, watching the lot. When Brooke finished, they both stepped back and looked at it. Kayla took a photo with her phone. Then they got back in the Honda and left. I saved the video, downloaded it, backed it up to 3 different cloud accounts, called a body shop, $2,500 to $3,500 for full panel repainting. Then I switched to my work phone, the one Brooke didn't have blocked yet. Texted her, I have HD security footage of you and Kayla keying my truck at 5 p.m. today. Shows your faces, your license plate, and the full thing start to finish. You have 24 hours to Venmo me $3,000 for repairs, or I file a police report for criminal mischief and vandalism. Your choice. 3 minutes later, my work phone rang. You can't prove that was me. I literally just told you I have HD footage. You want me to email it so you can watch yourself do it? Silence. 24 hours. Send $3,000 or I go to the police. They'll charge you both. Criminal mischief, vandalism, maybe conspiracy since Kayla was clearly standing watch. Good luck landing brand deals with a record. I don't have $3,000. Should have thought about that before you picked up your keys. 20 minutes later. Venmo notification. $3,000. Payment note. You're a horrible person. I accepted it. Didn't respond. Yo, timeout. She keyed the truck. She paid $3,000 via Venmo with a note calling him a horrible person. And somehow, the next play is sending her friend to seduce him. Like he's going to open the door, see Kayla in full going out gear, and think fair enough. I need everyone to understand. This is the same strategic mind that almost pulled off a 6-month house fraud. She had one job after Friday. Don't do anything else. She's now committed vandalism, extorted herself, and is launching what I can only call Operation Bottle Service. CEO of Bad Decisions. What comes next in that hallway is better than anything on TV right now. Get your popcorn. I looked out my window. Brooke's Honda was back in a visitor spot, both of them outside it, having what looked like a very heated conversation. Brooke pointing wildly at the building, Kayla pointing back at Brooke. Then Brooke shoved her. Kayla stumbled back, looked genuinely shocked for about 1 second, and then shoved Brooke hard enough that she hit the car door. They stood there screaming at each other. I couldn't make out the words, but I could see Brooke holding up her phone, probably showing the Venmo receipt, clearly laying blame on Kayla for the whole situation. Kayla got in her own car and left without looking back. Brooke stood alone in the lot for a moment, staring up at my building. Then she got in the Honda and drove away too. I closed the blinds and made dinner. Solid evening, honestly. Wednesday, my buzzer went off again. I checked the camera expecting Brooke. It was Kayla. Low-cut top, jeans that looked painted on, hair down, full makeup. She had clearly put in effort. I pressed the intercom. What do you want? Hey, can we talk? I just wanted to apologize for everything. Against every reasonable instinct I had, I buzzed her up. She knocked on my door. I opened it, but stayed in the doorway. She gave me this smile that probably worked on guys at clubs. Said she felt terrible about the whole situation, that Brooke was wrong, that she should have told her to just be honest from the beginning. Standard apology packaging. Then she shifted, hip out, leaning slightly into the doorframe, like she was auditioning for something. Maybe I could make it up to you. Buy you dinner. Hang out. I almost laughed out loud. You're trying to seduce me. I'm trying to apologize properly. By sleeping with me. She smiled wider. If that's where things go naturally. I actually did laugh at that one. Let me get this straight. Your friend tried to commit real estate fraud against me. You called it genius. I ended the relationship. She keyed my truck. Now you show up here dressed like you're working bottle service somewhere. And the play is what exactly? That I'd be grateful? That you'd pick up where she left off? Her face flushed. It's not like that. It's exactly like that. And honestly, this is embarrassing for you. You can leave. She turned to go. Got maybe 3 steps down the hall. That's when Brooke came around the corner. She stopped dead. Looked at Kayla. Looked at my apartment door. Looked back at Kayla. Her voice went flat immediately. What are you doing here? Kayla froze. I came to talk to him, about you, to try to fix things. Brooke's eyes dropped to the outfit. Like that. I just wanted to talk. You were trying to hook up with him. I was trying to help. By throwing yourself at my ex-fiancé the second we break up, while I'm going through the worst week of my life. He's not your fiancé anymore. You said that. I stood in my doorway and watched all of this unfold, with the focus of someone who just found the best show on television. The voices got louder. Brooke laid out the obvious, that Kayla had been right there encouraging the whole plan, calling it strategic, cheering her on, and was now showing up in that outfit to swoop in the first chance she got. Kayla shot back that Brooke had gotten sloppy and greedy, and if she'd just kept her mouth shut, none of this would have happened. So this is my fault? Brooke's voice went dangerously quiet. Yeah, actually, you got caught. Now you're broke, single, and living with your parents. Meanwhile, Brooke slapped her. Hard. Kayla's head snapped sideways. She stood perfectly still for 1 full second. Then she slapped Brooke back harder. Brooke stumbled into the wall, touched her face. Then she lunged. They went full grapple, grabbing hair, slapping wildly, someone's shoe coming off in the process, Brooke's purse spilling completely across the hallway floor. I pulled out my phone and recorded every second. The whole thing lasted maybe 20 seconds before they separated, both breathing hard, hair destroyed, faces red. Stay away from him, Brooke yelled. Why? You don't want him. That doesn't mean you get to have him. Kayla grabbed her shoe and shoved it back on. You had everything and you burned it down yourself. Don't put that on me. She stormed toward the stairs and was gone. Brooke stood there, mascara running again. She looked at me like I'd personally caused all of this. This is all your fault. I'm just standing here watching. You turned everyone against me. You did that. I just stopped pretending not to notice. She shoved things back into her purse. Lipstick, wallet, her phone with a fresh crack across the screen. She stood up. You're going to regret this. You're going to realize what you lost. You keep saying that. I'll let you know if it kicks in. She looked at me with pure hatred for a long moment. Then she took the stairs. Apparently, the elevator was too slow for the dramatic exit she needed. I closed the door, saved the video, and went to finish making dinner. Anyway, final update. I filed for a restraining order Thursday morning. Brought everything in a single organized folder. The parking lot security footage with timestamps, the Venmo receipt with her "you're a horrible person" payment note, screenshots of the threatening texts, the hallway video from Wednesday. The clerk at the courthouse looked through the whole thing and told me it was one of the most documented domestic situation cases she'd processed in a while. Got the temporary order the same day. Judge signed off within hours. Brooke had to stay 500 feet away or face immediate arrest. Her mom kept calling my office the following week, trying to spin the story that I'd broken her daughter's heart, that I'd humiliated her in public for no reason, that I owed Brooke a chance to explain herself. My boss sat down with me, asked for the full picture. I walked him through everything: the overheard conversation, the house, the family dinner, the truck, all of it. He backed me completely and had HR document the situation in case Brooke tried anything involving my employment. Frank called 2 days later. That conversation was different from everything else. He sounded completely exhausted, said he had no idea what Brooke had been planning, and was genuinely horrified when he found out the full extent of it. He apologized, said Brooke was moving back home, that they were going to figure out what had gone wrong. He sounded like a man carrying real shame, and I felt for him, honestly. None of this was his. 3 weeks after that, the full court hearing. Brooke showed up with a public defender who looked like he wanted to be somewhere else entirely. The lawyer argued I was overreacting, that she just wanted closure, that I was the unreasonable ex. Tried to make me sound like the one who couldn't let go. I laid out every piece of evidence in order. Security footage of the truck keying, Venmo receipt, screenshots of the threatening texts, hallway video. The judge's expression got harder with each item on the table. Her lawyer went with the "she was emotionally overwhelmed after a traumatic breakup" angle. The judge asked Brooke directly whether she damaged my vehicle. She tried to deny it. The judge played the security footage on the courtroom screen. You could see Brooke's face clearly. The key in her hand. Every deliberate letter. Crystal clear, time-stamped. She went completely silent. Judge called it criminal mischief, trespassing, and vandalism. Granted the restraining order for 2 full years. Said if she violated it once, she'd face immediate arrest and criminal charges. Brooke walked out of that courthouse looking like her world had collapsed. I checked her Instagram on the drive home out of pure curiosity. The account had been mostly gutted, all the house content deleted, all the engagement photos gone, most of the influencer posts pulled down. She was sitting at around 3,400 followers. Her most recent post was a sunset photo. Caption: starting over. 12 likes. 3 comments from relatives. Stay strong, sweetie. The influencer dream was over. The house was gone. The relationship was done. She had a 2-year restraining order that would show up on background checks indefinitely. And I had 97 grand a year, my truck repainted on her dime, and the quietest apartment I've ever had in my adult life. I still haven't figured out what I'm going to do with the extra drawer space. Look, I'm not saying this guy played every moment perfectly, but when someone spends 4 years treating you like a transaction and then keys your truck over the consequence, you don't negotiate. You document everything, file the paperwork, and let the judge be the punchline. That's not petty. That's knowing the difference between what you owe someone and what you don't. Drop your take in the comments. What would you have done the second you heard that conversation from the parking lot? Sit on it or move first like this guy did. Let me know. And if you're not subscribed yet, hit the button. New stories every day. My family gave me the worst room on the family trip. My mom said, "He's the spare. He'll take anything. They didn't know I inherited the hotel from my grandpa, so I showed them exactly who controlled the keys. Hey Reddit, my family always treated me like the failure of the group, so when grandpa left me his entire hotel, I kept it quiet. Then came the family trip, where they stuck me in the worst room and mocked me nonstop. Before that chaos unfolded, here's how it all really began. The family reunion invitation came 3 months ago. Same hotel as always, Grandpa's old place on the coast, except now the place was mine, and they had no idea. I'm a wine consultant, built a business sourcing rare bottles for private collectors and high-end restaurants. Last year I cleared close to $500,000 after expenses. But to my family, I'm still the failure who plays with bottles instead of getting a real job. My sister Zoe is the golden child. Always has been. Bank executive, corner office, the works. Her husband David is exactly what you'd expect. Loud, flashy, thinks his leased Range Rover makes him important. My Aunt Nora is the family's professional excuse maker. Every toxic thing someone does, she's right there with her signature phrases. Now, to be fair. Or, let's be reasonable here. Like she's the narrator for enabling dysfunction. 6 months ago, Grandpa died. Left me the hotel in a private trust. $28 million in property value, fully paid off. The will reading was private. Just me, his lawyer Connor, and paperwork that changed everything. I remember the last time I saw Grandpa alive. 2 weeks before the end. He was in his office at the hotel. He pulled something from his desk drawer. A vintage master key on a silver chain. The original from when he'd built the place 40 years ago. This opens every door in the building, he said, pressing it into my palm. But more importantly, it's a reminder. Keys represent responsibility, not privilege. He handed me a folder. Letters, emails, documents, showing years of my family trying to position themselves as the rightful heirs. Your father came last month, brought David. They wanted to buy the hotel, offered me 40% of its value. When I said no, they called me senile. Started talking about incompetency proceedings. That's when you changed the will? That's when I confirmed what I already knew. They don't see legacy. They see assets. He leaned forward. Your mother wrote me 23 letters in 5 years. All about how you weren't ready, how Zoe should inherit. There's one more thing. In the trust, I added a clause. If any family member contests the ownership or spreads defamatory claims about you, a significant amount gets donated to the Coastal Preservation Fund. They lose access permanently. A booby trap. A consequence. Consequences aren't punishment. They're just reality catching up to choices. I wore that key on a chain under my shirt every day since. The drive to the hotel was 4 hours. I spent most of it thinking about a conversation I'd overheard when I was 16. Christmas dinner. Dad talking to Uncle Greg in the hallway. He's soft. Always has been. Tasting and fancy bottles. What kind of man builds a career around that? At least Zoe has her head on straight, Uncle Greg had replied. I'd stood there holding 2 glasses, listening to my own father call me soft, filed it away with all the other moments that taught me exactly where I stood. There was another moment from when I was 14. Science fair at school. Built this project on wine terroir. Won first place? Mom dismissed it as a little project when I came home. Grandpa drove 3 hours that night to see my trophy. When I pulled up to the hotel, the valet recognized me immediately, but caught my subtle headshake. He just nodded and took my keys without using my name. Before I went inside, I stopped him quietly. Normal guest treatment this weekend. Use sir in public areas. No names in front of my family. Understood, sir. Inside, the lobby was exactly as Grandpa had designed it. My family was already gathered near the concierge desk. Zoe holding court, showing off her upgraded anniversary ring that David probably couldn't afford. David laughing too loud at his own jokes. Mom saw me first. Her smile dropped. Didn't think you'd make it, Nathan, she said flatly. Wouldn't miss it. David looked me over. Still driving that old Civic? When you gonna upgrade, buddy? The Civic was paid off. His Range Rover had a loan I'd seen him brag about online. 60 months at 7%. But sure, I needed the upgrade. Maybe next year. Aunt Nora appeared beside Mom. Now, Nathan, don't take that the wrong way. David's just making conversation. You know how he is. Right. Making conversation. The hotel manager, Julian, was handling check-ins. He'd worked under Grandpa for 12 years. We'd had a long conversation 3 days ago about this weekend. He knew exactly what was happening and why. Room assignments started. Zoe and David got the Ocean View Presidential Suite. Top floor, private terrace, 1,500 square feet. Mom and Dad got the Executive Harbor Suite. My cousins Kendall and Brett got deluxe premium rooms. Then came mine. And for Nathan, Mom announced, taking the key card from Julian before he could give it to me. Room 114. She'd insisted on handling all the reservations and check-ins, as the family organizer. Julian's face went carefully blank. We both knew what room 114 was. First floor, next to the laundry facility, 180 square feet. No view except the loading dock where delivery trucks backed up at 5 a.m. The cheapest, loudest room in the building. Mrs. Edwards, Julian started carefully, we have several other rooms available. This is fine, Mom cut him off. Nathan's practical. He doesn't need anything fancy. Practical, like she was describing furniture. Julian's face stayed carefully blank, but I caught the tension in his jaw. Room 114 was a legacy overflow room we kept for emergencies. We almost never put guests in it. David grinned. Gonna be cozy down there with the washing machines, huh? Aunt Nora jumped in. Let's be reasonable here. It's just a place to sleep. Nathan probably won't even notice. I looked at Julian. He maintained his professional expression, but I could see the tension in his shoulders. I gave him a small nod. Room 114 sounds perfect, I said calmly. I took the key card and headed for the elevator. Behind me, I heard Kendall whisper to Brett, loud enough to make sure I heard, "Guess we know who the spare is." Brett snorted. Always has been. The room was exactly what I expected. Single bed from a budget motel, tiny window-facing dumpsters, constant hum of industrial washers through the wall. Bathroom barely big enough to turn around in. I dropped my bag and sat on the bed. Springs creaked. From Zoe's suite, you could probably see the whole coastline. Down here, I could hear trucks backing up and someone yelling about deliveries. I pulled out the master key, ran my thumb over the worn silver. "Let them show you who they are," he'd said. "All right then, let's see how far they'll take it." Dinner that night was at the hotel's main restaurant. Floor-to-ceiling windows, ocean views, the whole luxury experience. They'd reserved the best table. My seat was at the end, partially blocked by a decorative pillar. David ordered the $120 ribeye. Zoe got the market-price lobster. Mom and Dad ordered premium seafood. Kendall and Brett got appetizers that cost more than most people's entire meals. I ordered the house salad, $22. Dad laughed when he saw my order. "Come on, son. You can do better than that. We'll cover you if money's tight." "Salad's fine." A server approached to refill water. Dad didn't look up, just snapped his fingers at her and pointed at his glass. "Excuse me," I said to the server. "Thank you for your service." She looked surprised, gave me a small smile. "Of course, sir." After she left, Dad frowned at me. "Why are you making a production out of simple service?" "I'm not. I'm treating her like a person. She's paid to serve. That's her job." Aunt Nora leaned in. "That's not what he meant, Nathan. Your father was just getting her attention." David leaned back in his chair, that smirk on his face. "When was your last real paycheck, Nathan?" "Honest question." "Last week. Client in Singapore. 6-figure contract for their private collection." The table went quiet for maybe 3 seconds. Then David decided I was lying and laughed it off. "Sure, buddy, sure." Zoe jumped in. "Nathan, I'm just saying, if you focused more on networking instead of your wine hobby, you might actually build something substantial." "Hobby?" "I'd sourced a 1961 Chateau Latour last month that sold for $85,000. I network plenty." "With who? Other wine hobbyists?" "With collectors in 14 countries. But yeah, let's call them hobbyists." The same server returned with bread. Dad waved her away impatiently without looking. "We're fine. Just bring the entrees." She nodded and left. I saw her face, though. The practiced, neutral expression service workers develop when customers treat them like garbage. Mom steered the conversation back to Zoe's recent promotion. Her new title, increased salary, future prospects. Dad kept toasting her success. Nobody looked at me. Then something interesting happened. The head chef, Antonio, came out to greet VIP tables. He was working his way through the dining room when he spotted me. He made eye contact, gave me this respectful nod. Nothing over the top, just professional acknowledgement. A server delivered a note to our table a moment later, from Chef Antonio. He says, "Welcome back." My family stared at the note like it was written in code. "How do you know the chef?" Zoe asked, voice higher than usual. "We've talked before." Truth was, I'd hired Antonio 4 months ago, doubled his salary, gave him full creative control over the menu, but they didn't need to know that yet. David leaned forward. "You trying to impress us? Acting like you know people here?" "Not acting like anything. Just acknowledged a greeting." As the main courses arrived, the comments got sharper. David was on his 3rd scotch, getting louder. "You know what Nathan's problem is?" he announced like I wasn't there. "No ambition. Content being average while the rest of us actually build something." Dad opened his mouth like he was about to say something. Mom's hand landed on his arm. He closed his mouth, stayed quiet. I put down my fork carefully. "Define average. You know what I mean. Playing it safe. No risk, no reward." Interesting take. A different server approached to clear plates. Zoe didn't even acknowledge her. Just kept talking while the woman reached around her to collect dishes. Dessert came. Expensive items for them. I passed. Probably can't afford it, Brett muttered, not quite under his breath. After dinner ended, I caught Julian's eye. He waited until I was alone near the service corridor, away from my family. Sir, a word? We went to the back office. Grandpa's old space. Sir, I have to be honest. Watching them treat you like this is extremely difficult. I sat in Grandpa's old chair. Still smelled faintly of his cologne. I know. Then why allow it? Because I need them to show me exactly who they are. No filters, no performance. Julian nodded slowly. What do you need from me? Documentation, every incident this weekend. Timestamps, staff statements, security footage, everything. Especially anytime they mistreat staff. Keep it organized. If anyone crosses a legal line, I want us ready. Understood. After he left, I sat in that office for another hour, going through Grandpa's things, his awards, photos through the decades. Then I found it, tucked in a photo of me and Grandpa. I must have been about 9, standing in the hotel lobby, his hand on my shoulder. On the back, in his handwriting, Nathan, the one who listens. Before leaving, I pulled up the security system. David at the pool, networking, Dad at dinner, snapping fingers at staff, Zoe treating servers like they were invisible. Julian was already building a file. They'd spent one day building the case against themselves. Morning came with delivery trucks at 5 a.m. I'd slept maybe 4 hours. Breakfast was in the main dining room, buffet style. My family was loading up plates like they were at an all-you-can-eat that might run out of food. I grabbed fruit and yogurt. I kept my face neutral and ate. Zoe was at the buffet station arguing with a server. Her voice was getting louder. I'm sorry, ma'am, but the wine service last night wasn't complimentary. Do you know who my family is? Zoe cut her off. My grandfather built this place. Comp it. The server looked panicked. Ma'am, I don't have authorization. Then get someone who does. I walked over. Problem? Zoe turned. They're trying to charge us for wine. From our family's hotel. It's not your family's hotel. And she's doing her job. Back off. Zoe's face went red. Excuse me? Apologize to her or leave the buffet. Zoe stared, then walked away without apologizing. The server looked at me gratefully. Thank you, sir. Kendall had watched the whole thing from her table. When our eyes met, she looked away quickly, uncomfortable. They'd planned activities for the day. Pool time, spa treatments, yacht tour, premium everything. At the pool, David started a conversation with another guest. Older guy, looked wealthy. Within 2 minutes, David was implying he had connections to the hotel ownership. Yeah, family ties, he said casually. My father-in-law basically built this place. We're here for a family business meeting, discussing expansion plans, new properties. Always thinking 3 steps ahead, you know? The guest looked impressed. Must be quite the operation. How many properties in the portfolio now? David didn't miss a beat. Several. We keep a low profile about it. Discretion, you understand. I watched this from across the pool. David was networking using my grandfather's legacy as his own leverage, building business relationships on lies, using a dead man's reputation to make himself look important. The guest handed David a business card. We should connect. I'm always looking for strong partnerships in hospitality. David pocketed the card like he'd just closed a deal. By lunch, things got tense. The restaurant bill for our group came to the table. Dad glanced at it, then looked at the server. Charge everything to the executive harbor suite. The server nodded and started to leave. Wait, I said. Mine's separate. Dad frowned. Don't be difficult. I'm covering the group meal. You can settle with me later. I'd be expected to reimburse him for my salad while he wrote off their $100 entrees. I'll handle my own bill. We're not going to nickel and dime each other all weekend. Then don't. Everyone pays their own way. The table went silent. Zoe looked at me like I'd insulted a veteran. Wow, okay. Didn't realize you were this petty. I stood up. I'm not petty. I'm done funding disrespect. Left cash for my meal and walked out. Behind me, I heard Mom start damage control. He's always been sensitive about money. I don't think he's well. Emotionally, I mean. I stopped, turned around, walked back to the table. What did you just say? Mom looked startled. Nothing, Nathan. I was just explaining. You told them I'm not well, emotionally. Now I'm just saying intent matters. Aunt Nora started. Stop. My voice was calm, flat. You're lying about what you just said because you got caught. I heard you. You're telling people I'm unstable so they won't take me seriously. Mom's face went pale. That's not what I meant. It's exactly what you meant. Keep going. I want to see how far you'll take this. That afternoon, I had spa reservations. When I showed up, the receptionist looked uncomfortable. She lowered her voice. Sir, I'm so sorry. There was an attempt to cancel your reservation this morning. By who? Your mother. She called from your room phone and confirmed your date of birth. We declined the cancellation because only the booking guest can modify their own reservation, but I wanted you to know about the attempt. My mother had tried to impersonate me to cancel my spa appointment in my own hotel. Thank you for following proper procedure, I said. Thank you for following procedure. Please write an incident report. Her eyes widened slightly. Of course, sir. Julian found me in the lobby later. Sir, we need to talk. Your brother-in-law tried to charge a $1,500 yacht rental to the family suite. He told the marina we had a corporate account. Do we? Not under his name or your father's. He was attempting fraud. Put it in the file. Already done. The marina owner contacted us directly. They're considering pressing charges if payment isn't received. Tell them to hold off, for now. That evening was the formal gala dinner, black tie event in the hotel's grand ballroom. I'd brought a decent suit, except when I went to change, I got a call from valet services. My suit jacket had been sent out for pressing. When it came back, it was soaking wet and reeked of perfume. Someone had told the valet staff that I'd requested it be treated with fabric refresher, Zoe's perfume. She'd sabotaged my outfit by manipulating the staff. I called Julian. I need a suit, something appropriate for tonight's gala. Send it to room 114. 20 minutes later, a staff member arrived with a perfectly fitted Tom Ford suit, $3,000 retail. I'd had it tailored months ago and stored it in my office. When I walked into the gala wearing that suit, Zoe's face went pale. Where did you get that? Had it sent up. Why? That's a designer suit, Nathan. How could I possibly what? Afford it? Interesting assumption. David was watching me now with new eyes. The gala was peak performance theater. My family networked like they owned the place. Dad was telling people about our family's hospitality legacy. Mom was name-dropping Grandpa. Zoe worked the room like she was campaigning for office. I watched her thank a server loudly when a CEO she'd been talking to could see. Generous tip. Big smile. The server looked confused by the sudden kindness. The CEO looked impressed. When he walked away, Zoe's smile dropped instantly. I stayed near the bar, watched, took mental notes. Uncle Greg found me there. He had that look. That, I need to cross a boundary, look. Nathan, I was thinking, since we're all family here, maybe you could talk to management. See if we could get some comps on future stays. Friend and family discount type situation. Why would I do that? Well, your grandfather built this place. They must have some respect for the family name. Leverage Grandpa's name for free rooms. I'll think about it, I said. He smiled like I'd agreed. Appreciate it, nephew. Later that night, I checked with security. Uncle Greg had tried accessing the administrative offices, claimed he was just looking around because we're family. Morning of day 3 came with another crisis. Julian called my room at 6 a.m. Sir, we have multiple situations. The marina is demanding immediate payment for the yacht rental your brother-in-law attempted to fraudulently charge. Your uncle was caught in restricted areas again last night. 3rd time. And your mother called down at midnight. Told the night manager you were experiencing a mental health episode and that staff should not take requests from you seriously. There it was. The smear campaign in full effect. Add it to the file. And Julian, today's the day. Get Connor here by noon. Make sure we have the full incident packet ready. Understood, sir. By breakfast, the family was buzzing about misunderstandings with staff. David looked angry. Dad looked concerned. Zoe was in damage control mode. I walked up to their table. They stopped talking immediately. Morning. Nathan, Dad said carefully. We were just discussing a situation. What kind of situation? David jumped in, defensive. Nothing. Some junior employee didn't understand a simple request. What was the request? Just asking about potential upgrades. Standard stuff. She got weird about it. Julian had told me the full story. David had become verbally aggressive with a desk clerk when she refused to comp services. He'd called her incompetent and threatened to have her fired. Asking for comps is standard? I asked. When you know how to work the system, David said with this smirk. Some of us know how to get what we want. I looked at Dad. And you? What's your role in all this? Nathan, what's gotten into you? You've been hostile all weekend. Have I? Interesting take. Mom jumped in. Nathan, honey, we're worried about you. You haven't been yourself. You mean the way you discussed me with the front desk? Told them I'm not well? That they shouldn't take me seriously? Her face went white. I was just concerned. You were laying groundwork, trying to discredit me before I could say anything about your behavior. Aunt Nora stepped in. Now, Nathan, to be fair, your mother is just worried about your mental health. Stop. My voice was calm, flat. You don't get to reframe this. I heard what was said. Documentation doesn't lie. Dad tried the unity approach. Son, whatever's bothering you, we can work through it. But you need to calm down. I'm perfectly calm. I've been calm all weekend while you've been treating staff like garbage, attempting fraud, trespassing, and running a smear campaign. All documented. David stood up fast, chair scraping. What are you talking about? The fraudulent yacht charge, Uncle Greg's trespassing, Mom's smear campaign, the spa cancellation fraud. Everything's logged. Zoe's voice went shrill. You've been spying on us? I've been watching. There's a difference. This is insane, David said. You're actually insane. You're doing it again. Dad stood up now too. That's enough. I don't know what game you think you're playing, but it ends now. We're family. You don't get to treat people like this and walk away. We're leaving, David announced. Come on, Zoe. Actually, I said calmly, you're not leaving until we settle accounts. The yacht rental you tried to charge fraudulently. All of it needs to be paid before anyone checks out. David's face went red. He stepped toward me. Close. Too close. Chest puffed out. You don't get to embarrass us like this. Not after everything. He jabbed his finger toward my chest. Once. Twice. Almost touching me. I didn't move. You need to step back. Or what? He sneered. Then he grabbed my arm. Tried to pull me toward him. Aggressive. Threatening. I stayed calm. Security. 2 security guards who'd been stationed nearby immediately moved in. Julian had positioned them there this morning, anticipating trouble. Sir, one of them addressed David. Remove your hands. Now. David laughed. Didn't let go. You're kidding. The security guard's tone went flat. Sir, remove your hands now, or you will be physically removed from the property. Something in the guard's voice made David hesitate. He let go. Stepped back. What's going on here? Dad demanded. The guard kept his eyes on David. This gentleman just assaulted the property owner. That's grounds for immediate removal and a trespass notice. The words hung in the air. Property owner. A staff member at the coffee station went completely still. A nearby guest whispered to her companion. Mom's face drained of color. You could hear a pin drop. The breakfast room had gone completely silent. Other guests were watching. Staff had stopped. Everyone was staring. Property owner? Zoe's voice was barely a whisper. Connor appeared from the lobby, briefcase in hand. Perfect timing. Julian had called him earlier. Good morning, everyone. I'm Connor, Mr. Edwards' attorney. I believe we have some matters to discuss. Dad found his voice. This is ridiculous. Nathan doesn't own this hotel. Actually, he does, Connor said calmly. And it's fully documented. Mr. Edwards inherited the property through a private trust established by his grandfather 6 months ago. Mom's face had gone completely pale. No, that's not right. If anyone was getting this hotel, your daughter, I finished. Or your husband. Or David. Yeah, Grandpa mentioned you all felt that way. More guests had gathered. This was becoming a scene. Brett naturally had his phone out, recording everything. David was shaking his head. This is a setup. You manipulated him. Connor pulled out a folder. Your grandfather was fully competent when he established the trust. We have medical evaluations, psychiatric clearance, and detailed documentation showing years of your family's attempts to acquire the property. We tried to buy it legitimately, Dad protested. At 40% of market value, I said, after calling him senile, after discussing incompetency proceedings. Dad's mouth opened, closed, no words. I pulled out my own folder. Attempted fraud with the yacht rental, trespassing in restricted areas, systematic mistreatment of employees, a documented smear campaign where my mother told staff I was mentally unstable and shouldn't be taken seriously. Mom made this sound. Half gasp, half sob. Nathan, please what? Pretend this didn't happen? A hotel guest, older woman in expensive jewelry, spoke up. Excuse me, but did you just say this young man owns the hotel? Yes, ma'am, Connor confirmed. For 6 months now. She looked at my family with barely concealed disgust. And you've been treating him like this? In his own establishment? Mom tried to salvage something. You don't understand. This is a family matter. It stopped being private when it involved my staff and my property, I said. David's face went red. This is insane. You don't get to do this. The security guards stepped closer. They'd been watching him all morning. Actually, I said calmly, most of your charges have been fraudulently attempted, or you've tried to have them removed through manipulation. The marina wants payment. I can contact law enforcement right now if needed. His face went from red to pale in seconds. But you won't, Dad said, trying to sound confident. Because we're family. I looked at him for a long moment. Then something in me cracked. Just a little. My hands were shaking. I had to clench them to keep steady. You're right about one thing. I'm not calling the police. Because unlike you, I'm not interested in humiliation. I'm interested in consequences. I had to pause, take a breath. That soft comment from years ago was echoing in my head. The urge to prove him wrong was almost overwhelming. But I stayed calm, focused. I nodded to the security guards. Escort Mr. David off the property. Immediately. He's banned from returning. File the trespass notice. What? Zoe's voice went shrill. You can't kick him out. I own the building. Yes, I can. The guards started moving David toward the exit. He was struggling, shouting, This is illegal. I'll sue you. Julian stepped forward professionally. We'll need to discuss new room arrangements and outstanding balances. That's when it really hit them. This wasn't theater. This was a power shift happening in real time. I turned to Dad. You're moving out of the executive suite. Your stay is terminated unless you agree to move to standard accommodations under a new payment agreement today. Comply or check out entirely. Nathan, son, please. After everything, you call me son. My voice was quieter now, almost sad. You called me soft to relatives when I was 16. You tried to buy this hotel from Grandpa for 40% of its value. Called him senile when he refused. All documented. His mouth opened, closed. No words. Julian appeared with 2 staff members and a luggage cart. Mr. and Mrs. Edwards, we'll help you relocate if you choose to stay under the new terms. The lobby had filled with guests. They all watched as my parents' belongings were loaded onto the cart. Dad tried one more time. We can discuss this privately. Connor stepped forward. You can accept the new terms or check out entirely. Your choice, sir. Dad went quiet. Followed the luggage cart. Mom found her voice. After everything I did for you, I'm your mother. The tears that followed felt rehearsed, performative. I looked at Uncle Greg. You're checking out today. Now. The trespassing is documented. You have 2 hours. He started to protest. I held up my hand. 2 hours. Zoe tried once more. Soft voice, gentle approach. Nathan, what do you want from us? I wanted respect. You wanted a resource. Those aren't the same thing. Aunt Nora, who'd been quiet, finally spoke. Now, Nathan, to be fair, no. My voice was flat. No more, to be fair. No more excuses. You've spent this entire weekend making excuses for terrible behavior. That ends now. She looked hurt. We had no idea you felt this way. You weren't paying attention. Connor cleared his throat. There's one more thing. The trust includes a specific clause. If any family member contests the ownership or spreads lies about Mr. Edwards, a substantial amount will be donated to the Coastal Preservation Fund, and that person loses access permanently. Everyone went very still. So choose your next moves carefully, I said. The crowd was still watching. Brett was still filming. My family was finally understanding they'd underestimated the wrong person. The next few hours were chaos. Managed chaos. David was escorted off the property. Zoe went with him, crying. Real tears this time, real distress. As they loaded the Range Rover, I headed to the front desk. The junior clerk who'd stood her ground against David was working her shift. She looked exhausted. Excuse me, I said. Lucy, right? She turned, nervous. Yes, sir. I'm sorry about all the trouble. You didn't cause trouble. You did exactly what you should have done. Someone tried to compromise you and you refused. That takes courage. Her eyes went wide. Oh, thank you, sir. I handed her an envelope. $500 bonus. For maintaining integrity. You represented this hotel the way my grandfather would have wanted. She opened it, stared at the check. Her hands started shaking. Sir, I just did my job. Exactly. And your job will never include tolerating abuse from guests. If anyone ever pressures you like that again, you call me directly. Understood? She nodded, eyes filling with tears. Thank you. Thank you so much. After she left, Julian appeared beside me. That was good of you, sir. It's the right thing. Dad and Mom moved to a standard room without much fight. The reality had set in. Uncle Greg checked out within the hour, just loaded his car, and left. That afternoon, I called a meeting with all frontline staff. Housekeeping, front desk, restaurant servers. Everyone who'd been affected. They gathered in the employee break room, nervous, uncertain. What happened this weekend was unacceptable, I started. My family treated you poorly. Some were threatened, others pressured, some blamed for things you didn't do. That ends permanently. I looked around the room. If anyone ever treats you the way my family did, you have my permission to refuse service. Call security. Call me directly. Money doesn't buy permission to degrade people. Clear? They nodded. A server from the restaurant raised her hand. What if it's another wealthy guest? Someone important? Same rules apply. Always. Julian spoke up. Your grandfather used to say something. A luxury hotel isn't defined by its marble or its views. It's defined by whether everyone inside it feels valued. That includes staff. Always. Exactly, I said. That's the standard? And if anyone makes you feel otherwise, you come to me. No exception. After the meeting, several staff thanked me personally. One housekeeper, older woman who'd been here since Grandpa's time, squeezed my hand. Your grandfather would be so proud, she whispered. He always said you understood what this place was really about. Another server, young guy who'd witnessed Dad's behavior, approached. Sir, I just want to say thank you for standing up for us. Most owners wouldn't. Then most owners are wrong, I said. Brett tried to post his clipped video online. Made me look like the villain kicking out family. The video started getting attention. Comments were harsh. Then Connor released a formal statement and guests shared their own phone footage from public areas. The marina confirmed the attempted charge. The pattern was obvious. The narrative shifted within hours. Comments changed to, "The family is toxic. He showed incredible restraint. I would have kicked them out day one." Dad's professional network saw the documentation. His LinkedIn activity dropped. Colleagues who usually engaged suddenly went silent. Zoe's carefully curated social media took a hit. Comments asking if this was the same person from the hotel incident. Her bank had questions about professional conduct. David's wealth persona collapsed. People saw him attempting fraud and pressuring staff. His social connections dried up. That night, Zoe came to my office, alone. "Can we talk?" I gestured to a chair. She sat but didn't speak for a moment. When she did, her voice was defensive. "I didn't know about David's fraud attempts. I had no idea. But you knew how he treated staff. You saw it. You did it yourself." Her face flushed. "I'm not saying I'm innocent. I'm just saying I didn't know everything." "You knew enough." Silence. Then something shifted in her expression. The defensiveness cracked. "You're right." Her voice was quieter now. "I knew enough. I saw it and I said nothing because it was easier." She looked at me. "I've been thinking about something Grandpa said. I was maybe 20. Just got a promotion. He said, 'Success without character is just noise.' I thought he was being judgmental." She paused. "I built noise. You built character. That's why he chose you." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you deserve to know I finally see it. You show up without agenda. You do the right thing when no one's watching." "Why now?" "Because my marriage is ending. My job is on thin ice. My reputation is damaged, and I can't blame you because we did this. I did this." She stood. "I'm leaving tomorrow, paying my bill, following rules. Then I'm going to figure out how to build something real." At the door, she stopped, looked back. "Is there any chance—" "I hear you," I said. "That doesn't buy access." She nodded slowly. "I understand. Grandpa was right about you." The week after was quiet. No family group chat, no holiday planning calls. Silence. Kendall sent one text. "I need to tell you something." No expectations. I called her that night. "I've spent 10 years watching them treat you like garbage," she said. "Never defended you. Silence is complicity. I was complicit." "Why now?" "Because I watched you stay calm while they attacked. Set boundaries without cruelty. That's integrity. I spent a decade watching it get abused without saying a word." "What do you want, Kendall?" "Nothing. Just telling the truth out loud. You deserved better. They were wrong. I was wrong." First real accountability. "Truth counts for something," I said. We talked for a while. Real conversation. It felt different. 2 weeks later, Connor emailed. 3 family members requested meetings. No. The boundary held. Mom sent cards. Generic apologies. I didn't respond. Dad never reached out. Pride wouldn't let him. A month later, I found Grandpa's journal entry from 6 months before he died. "Nathan came by today. Didn't ask for anything. Just checked on me. The others call when they need something. He calls when he wants nothing. That's why he gets everything. Not because he's perfect, because he understands this isn't a prize. It's a responsibility. And he's the only one who knows the difference." 3 months later, I spoke at the Coastal Business Association Summit. Legacy building and family businesses. I talked about what Grandpa taught me, what it means to inherit something worth protecting. Didn't mention my family by name. Didn't need to. After the speech, a young woman approached. Hospitality student. "How do you handle it when people you love treat you like you're worthless? You set boundaries. Document patterns. When they cross the line, let consequences do the teaching." That must have been hard. Harder was spending 30 years hoping they'd change. People don't change from hope. They change from consequences. That evening, I walked the property. Same route Grandpa took. Out to the beach. Sunset painting the ocean. I pulled out the master key. He'd given me the power to choose. Who deserved access? What boundaries meant? My family thought I was easy. I was patient. There's a difference. The hotel thrived. Kendall stopped by monthly. Real conversations. No agenda. I didn't hear from the rest. That was fine. The entrance still had Grandpa's sign. "Excellence is not an act, but a habit. Welcome home." I wore the key every day. Reminder of responsibility. My hotel. My responsibility. My choice. They wanted a convenient relative to use. Didn't expect the backbone. Their mistake, not mine. Guys, we are so close to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come true.